Alatri, Italy, June 2019. Ancient astronaut theorist Giorgio Tsoukalos is in the heart of the Italian peninsula, about 50 miles southeast of Rome. He is here to investigate the astronomical alignment of the finest megalithic construction in Italy, the city's Acropolis.
All right. Giulio.
Hello, Giorgio. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Yeah,
How
nice
are you?
to see you again.
What a
Fine.
fantastic place.
Welcome to the Alatri Acropolis,
I
Italy.
cannot wait
Yeah.
to see all of this.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for years to see this. Amazing.
For expert insight, he has enlisted the help of Dr. Giulio Magli, a professor of archaeoastronomy from the Polytechnic University in Milan, Italy. Dr. Magli has spent years studying this massive structure.
This is incredible.
Yes, we are going to the main entrance of the Acropolis of Alatri, which is covered by the hugest, most massive stone ever put in place in Italy. The lintel of the Porta Maggiore in Alatri is about 26 tons.
26 tons. I mean, this is absolutely insane.
So they were motivated to do all of this. So the motivation must be also symbolic. It cannot be only, okay, let's make a wall, because otherwise I will make a wall with horizontal layers and small stones.
So you're suggesting that they had to have had a compelling reason to do this, because nobody in their right mind would do something like this without a reason.
Yes.
The imposing megalithic citadel was built on top of a hill and is defined by 6 huge walls. The shape of the Acropolis, when viewed from the sky, has led some to suggest that it was built to create a lasting commemoration of the site's connection to the stars. Giorgio has brought a drone with him to get an aerial view of the ancient Acropolis.
All right, let's launch this rocket.
Yes.
All right, so what do we see here?
Yes, you see, the Acropolis has a very regular shape. It is a polygon very similar to the polygons of the walls.
Okay.
And this very regular shape has nothing to do with the morphology of the hill, because, you know, a hill can be random.
Right.
But they wanted it exactly as it is.
So are you saying that this mount here was cut artificially?
Yes.
That is incredible.
So why? They wanted such a strange shape. There is a theory, which might be sound, that they wanted the Acropolis to have the shape of a constellation. And the edges of the Acropolis correspond to the brightest stars of the constellation Gemini.
So we are looking at the outline of Gemini here.
It may well be.
Wow.
May well be.
What's really interesting here is that the entire mountaintop has been artificially shaped so that it is in the shape of the constellation of Gemini. And then you have to wonder, why was it built in this shape? Because something of significance happened here a long time ago.
In Greek mythology, the Gemini constellation depicts twin brothers, Castor and Pollux, the offspring of a god and a human.
In the story, we're told that Zeus shapeshifted or disguised himself as a swan and impregnated the human female, Leda, leading to the birth of Castor and Pollux. But in some versions of the story, we learned that there were actually 2 eggs that were hatched. One had the twin sets of boys and another had twin sets of girls. Some of the twins were mortal, others of the twins were immortal.
While mainstream historians consider the story purely mythological, ancient astronaut theorists point out that these gods were considered very real by the Greek people of the time. And they propose that the story of the twins could be an account of an extraterrestrial encounter.
In one version of the story, we're told that the egg containing Castor and Pollux came down out of the heavens.
When the legends say that the Gemini twins were born of an egg that descended from the sky, it actually says that they were born of a so-called cosmic egg. And what are these cosmic eggs? They're always described as having either a silver or a bronze-colored shell. And sometimes they're also described as having a lot of smoke, fire, and noise.
And interestingly, many UFOs are sometimes seen as eggs. So is it possible that the egg of Castor and Pollux is some extraterrestrial vehicle that looks like an egg and lands on Earth, and then two twins step out? That's quite possible.
If the Alatri Acropolis was purposely built to resemble the Gemini constellation, could it be commemorating an alien visitation? And considering the incredible size of the stones it was built with, is it possible that the extraterrestrials themselves had a hand in the wall's construction?
Do we have any records, written records at all about this place from ancient times?
We don't. Even the Roman historian of architecture, Vitruvius, does not speak about this technique at all.
What is your speculation how old this place really could be?
Okay, standard archaeology claims that this was made by the Romans, but Romans' techniques were, of course, very good, but based on horizontal planes and relatively small stones. So it is very difficult to believe that this was made by the Romans. It must be older.
Because you can clearly see the different construction styles. Giulio, thank you very much for sharing this with me, and I can't wait till we see each other again.
Whoever built the Alatri Acropolis was trying to point something out to us. Apparently, they were trying to show us the Zodiac and the constellation of Gemini. And why they were trying to do that, we don't know.
The Alatri Acropolis is particularly baffling in that, much like the Glastonbury Zodiac, its shape can only be discerned from high above, a perspective that the ancient people presumably would not have had. But these are just two of many sites found all over the world that appear to have connections to the stars.
The Mayan temples were aligned with the Pleiades. Angkor Wat is aligned with the constellation of Draco. What's interesting about all of these places is that they're considered to be star mirrors, making them places of connection where people can go to connect with that particular star system or constellation.
Cape Canaveral, Florida, August 20th, 1975.
Ignition, we have liftoff.
The United States launches a Titan rocket carrying the Viking spacecraft. Viking is embarking on a 420 million mile journey to one of the most prominent sites in the night sky, Mars. If all goes well, in 11 months, the unmanned probe will touch down on the Martian surface and search for evidence of life. Mainstream scientists say Mars is most likely a dead planet because of its incredible temperature swings and high levels of solar radiation. So why is NASA spending $1 billion to explore it?
The night sky is an astounding thing. To the naked eye, the red planet could be seen with its special colors. After all, it's the biggest thing you see up there past the moon. So it's been a special object of fascination and reverence because religious systems often were associated with the planets and the stars, the sky in general. Speculations about what's there, is intelligent life there, or the gods there, that's gone on for a long time.
Our dream for life on Mars probably goes back even to the ancient times when we were just doing naked eye observation. It's the planet that really stands out, that we now know is very close to Earth in terms of physical conditions. Even though Venus is much more like Earth in size and gravity, it's a hellhole in the solar system. But Mars is out there within our grasp.
Among the first to record this fiery red ball in the night sky were ancient Egyptian astronomers. In 1534 BC, they placed Mars on humanity's first chart of the known cosmos, the Cenobite star map. 2.5 centuries later, the Egyptians painted the planet Mars on the ceiling of the tomb of Seti I. But while the Egyptians honored Mars, many other ancient cultures feared it because they associated the red planet with death, destruction, and war. According to some anthropologists, this is because the planet glows red, like the color of blood, spilled on the battlefield.
The association of the red planet with the gods of war goes way back. In ancient Babylon, Mars was named after Nergal, the god of fire, death, and destruction, essentially a god of war. The Greeks named Mars after Ares, their god of war. The Romans, Mars, that is their god of war. Rome was a warrior culture, so this martial emphasis, all connected to the red planet, is accounting for the great armies that conquered the known world, a very successful story, and very much aligned with the planet Mars.
New York City. Located in Midtown Manhattan is the busiest train station in the United States. Grand Central Terminal. 750,000 people come through here each day. And when they do, they pass under an enormous star chart, one whose origins date back some 5,000 years.
When commuters walk into Grand Central, they see an epic, magnificent mural of the Zodiac Wheel. And it is one of the largest Zodiac murals in the modern world.
Although most visitors are not aware of the mural above their heads, if they were, they might be astounded, because as far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, it depicts the evolution of the Earth in extraterrestrial terms.
The most interesting fact about this portion of the Zodiac Wheel is that it demonstrates what is called the precession of the equinoxes. What we call the spring equinox is the first day of spring. Back when the principles of astrology were first put together, the first day of spring was in Aries. During the age of Christ, the first day of spring was in Pisces. The fish is associated with Pisces. Christ was considered the fisher of men. And nowadays, the spring equinox occurs when the sun rises in the constellation of Aquarius. That's why we are said to be in the age of Aquarius, which is supposed to be an age of spiritual understanding, mystical awareness, and world peace.
While there is no consensus as to an exact date, many believe that the age of Aquarius was set by ancient astrologers to begin in February 1962, and believed that it would trigger the rapid development of new technology. Ironically, it began just 7 years before man landed on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I guarantee you that when our ancestors spoke about these gods descending from the sky, they were not referring to the constellations themselves descending from the sky, but in my opinion, people coming from those areas up in the night sky.
As we are entering into the new age of Aquarius, according to the Sumerians, it was Enki is the original man of Aquarius, an otherworldly, even extraterrestrial being. We are returning to a time when Enki himself may return. It's perfectly consistent with this idea that the zodiac, in fact, is a sort of a clock that tells not just about the sun's journey, but also about the journey of extraterrestrials and their return to Earth.
We're now in the age of Aquarius, and there is a quickening effect taking place with our technological advances. It's very possible that we are now in the age when we are going to reconnect with our ancient alien ancestors.
Could our ancestors have been aware of the Zodiac's powerful message thousands of years ago? And might the signs of the Zodiac provide the key to understanding both humanity's past and future?
There's a prophecy in the Glastonbury Zodiac relating to the coming age of Aquarius. It's going to be a time where our minds begin to think radically differently in a way that can transform life on this planet for the better.
In many ways, we are becoming more enlightened. We are becoming more connected with the cosmos. We understand more about our roots and our origins.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
July 20th, 1969.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. Okay, I just checked.
Over 1 billion people worldwide are glued to their television sets as they watch the shadowy figure of astronaut Neil Armstrong slowly step off the ladder of the Apollo 11 lunar module onto the surface of the moon.
It's very fine. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The moment marks one of the most important events in the history of civilization. It is the first time a human being has set foot on alien terrain.
Apollo 11 is what people think of when you talk about Apollo today and Neil Armstrong setting foot on the moon. The moon is roughly 220,000 miles away from the Earth. Even the best telescopes can't see what you can see when you're just standing on the surface.
Before we went to the moon, NASA was cautioned by doomsday predictors and different people. People wonder what it would be like on a place like that, so different from this place here.
The idea of landing people on the moon has been in the imagination long before the technology was anywhere near making it possible. After all, to be on the moon is to step into a mythological landscape. The place of stories, the place of wonder, to step into the heavens and stand on ground of a kind that is not Earth.
It was a huge moment for the human spirit. While it was Americans that put a man on the moon, it was considered a victory for all of humanity. Suddenly, science fiction became real, and it opened up a new age of exploration.
I think that every journey starts with a first step. The moon was our first step into the universe, into our solar system. It is awesome to think that already 50 years ago, we became extraterrestrials on another planet.
The moon has captivated the imagination of humanity since the dawn of civilization. It is a quarter the size of the Earth and is by far the most dominant celestial body in the night sky.
It takes about 30 days to go round the Earth. The moon glows, and that's not because of any property within the moon. It's reflecting the rays of the sun which causes it to glow. The reason that the moon has phases is that the Earth blocks the light of the sun, and as the moon moves round the Earth, so it incrementally gets a little bit more and a little bit more of the sun's rays.
The moon's importance is very great. It leads to tides, which help life transition from living in the ocean to living on land. It also stabilizes the Earth's tilt relative to its orbit. Without the moon, gravitational influences can cause the poles of planets to wander around kind of drunkenly, like a drunken sailor. The Earth would have been a much more chaotic place for life, especially advanced life, to develop if it wasn't for the moon.
While the moon is largely responsible for allowing life to flourish on Earth, this celestial body itself is inhospitable. It has no breathable oxygen, and temperatures on the surface reach extremes from 253 degrees Fahrenheit when it's facing the sun to minus 243 degrees in the shade.
It was a very serious environment because there's no oxygen. So the astronauts, once they were on the moon, they have to be completely sealed.
It's surface gravity, which is what really counts if you're going to go there, is about 1/6 of that on Earth, which is why when you see those grainy images of the early astronauts, they're sort of bouncing around. And the moon has no atmosphere whatever.
The astronauts, once they were on the moon, suddenly they were able to look at the world that they'd grown up on, the Earth, from a different place. They were able to see all of mankind in all its tininess in the universe. And that, I know, had a very profound effect on the astronauts.